I think we can all agree that groceries cost way more than they used to, right? When you go into the store, you feel it. Eggs, milk, everything's creeping up. And if you're farming, you're out in the sticks, or you're working for a small business in a rural town, that really hurts. Pennies in your budget can go a long way. But now here's where it gets really weird. The guy who made grocery prices a campaign slogan says he fixed this, right? And he keeps saying that he fixed this. In fact, he won't stop saying that he's fixed this. So what's really going on? Because you and I, we go into the grocery store and we see that the problem is most definitely not fixed. We feel it every week. So here's the promise that Donald Trump made. Back in 2024 campaign, or really in the immediacy following the end of the 2024 campaign, he was interviewed about his recent victory. And he told the reporter that he won, and he knew he won, on the border and on groceries.
And I won on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word. The groceries, when you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that.
He used the word groceries over and over again and again. He harped on that word. He said food costs should go way down. So that's the bar. He says that's why he won. He said inflation and grocery prices in particular are way too high, and that's why he won the election. So that's the bar, right? And that's what he said he was going to do. And he keeps telling us that he's doing it, but let's pull the receipts and see what's really happening here. So recently, the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, says grocery food at home prices are still rising, not falling. For example, consumer food inflation in March rose a 0.5 percentage point from the prior month and 2.4% from a year ago. Those are small numbers, yes, but it says that inflation is still a problem and prices are still going up. They're certainly not going down, that's for sure, and they haven't leveled out. Donald Trump has said repeatedly that groceries are down, not just going down, but are down. Doing so in kind of a weird, obsessive manner, right? Especially after the rollout of those widespread massive tariffs that occurred back in April. But analysts at ABC News say that claim is super misleading, that grocery prices are in fact not down. And a local affiliate, a Twin Cities grocery survey, found that a 9-item grocery bundle went from $57.29 to $60.39. Again, that difference doesn't seem like it's much, but that's a 5.5% increase for the exact same nine items purchased 100 days apart. So in that 100-day period, that same exact basket of 9 items was 5.5% more expensive. That was this year. So the promise was cheap food, right? The promise was lowering our grocery bills. The promise was getting inflation under control. The reality is that our groceries are still expensive. Food is still expensive. And not only is inflation not solved, it's not coming back down. That's for sure. Prices are not coming back down. The gap is real. And so why are groceries so high, right? And there's several reasons that you'll hear. First and foremost, I would say, are farm inputs. Especially right now, you have diesel, fertilizer, seed, all of these things are skyrocketing. We're actually going to do a full breakdown of this exact topic, just farm input costs, in another video, and how they've gotten really out of control in the last 12 months. Second thing that's really hurting right now in terms of grocery prices are tariffs and supply chain costs. Huge part of our supply chain comes from overseas. A lot of the stuff we buy at grocery stores is not made in America. And when you tax the parts, even if some parts just come from abroad, but the whole thing, the whole item you're getting is produced here, the components that go into it, if those things are taxed and tariffed at higher rates, the overall product increases in price as well, right? And ultimately, grocery companies are going to pass those costs on. For example, Kroger's CEO, he testified in court that credit card swipe fees and fuel costs were driving price hikes. And so those are things that he had to pass on to his customers, right? So on and so forth. These big company CEOs are always going to, they have their shareholder and the stock price as their best, right? That's their motivation. So they're going to go ahead and do what's best for shareholders, what's best for the stock price. All that stacks up, your grocery bill rises, right? When a campaign or a candidate says, we're going to bring those food prices down, we're going to stop inflation, you need to immediately ask how. What is the plan? Not just your rhetoric. How are you actually going to do it? And when is it going to happen by? We're still waiting. Still waiting for those grocery prices to come down, still waiting for that inflation to cool. Now let's localize it a little bit. So in small towns, in rural areas where margins are already thin, this stuff matters extra. Your local grocery store can't suck up cost hikes forever. They're gonna pass them on. Farmers feel it when those input costs go up. Families on fixed budgets feel it when the bacon pack triples. They have to pick between milk and utilities or medicine. And if a policy says cheap food, but you're still stretching receipts, something's broken. And it isn't you. So yeah, we all felt groceries climbing in 24, in 23, and 22, all coming out of COVID. And yeah, the promise was big in 2024. But the check came back and we're still paying the bill here, right? If they're still telling you that food prices are coming down, you're allowed to ask, where's the receipt? Because it's not happening for me. Cheap groceries shouldn't just be a slogan. They're a lifeline for a lot of folks. And you're playing with people's lives here.